There's Chris's new favorite new song.
We need to find the band that did it.
Yeah. All right, welcome everybody to this episode of the MedTech Jam Session, and enjoy our new theme song.
First recording of the year. Coffee at midnight, baby. That's how we roll.
This is MedTech Jam Session with Chris and Mike D, where the big bold questions,
The big bold question.
the next big thing.
Right.
Next big thing.
Pay attention if you're chasing that dream. MedTech Jam Session, where the future comes to scream.
All right, there it is.
The debut.
The debut of our new theme song. Again, that comes from our friends at Suno, and they're not a sponsor, but we would love for them to be a sponsor and take their money. But Suno is an amazing AI tool if you want to create music to go with your podcast or to go with any other pieces of content. I just plugged in a prompt and it spit out that, and it's
That's impressive.
unbelievable.
Impressive.
And it's a tribute to Chris Lyons in his 80s hairband days. I was hoping you'd wear your jumpsuit today. I know you like to wear that on Wednesdays, but today I guess you didn't.
And the only way I'm going to have long hair is to get a weave. I mean, that's just how it is.
Well, we're back for another great season of MedTech Jam Session. We had a ball last year. We did, I think, 24 episodes. We interviewed some amazing founders and executives and CEOs, a couple investors, a few physicians, and we just learned so much. And so if you're looking for a podcast that, if you're a founder, if you're in the med device industry, if you work for a big company, medium company, small company, and you want to just hear what it's like to be in the arena as a startup founder, just start listening. Just add it to your list of podcasts, save it, put it in your library. You can start back at the very beginning from last year, and they're only about 30 minutes, which is 20 minutes at 1.5-ish speed. And I promise you'll be rewarded, not because of Chris and Mike D, but just because of all the great founders that we've been able to meet.
No doubt.
And today we have another great one. So I was fortunate enough to meet Ilya Popov at a conference last fall. And he and I, turns out we were the only ortho guys there. Everybody else was cardiac. So we sort of found each other, and he told me his story, and I was just taken with it, given my experience in trauma especially. And so I think Ilya's got a really interesting story. We're looking forward to having him on. So without further ado, Ilya Popov from ComeBack Mobility. Ilya, how are you today?
Hello, Mike. Hi, Chris. Thank you for inviting. Pleasure to be here. I'm doing excellent. Thank you for asking. What about you?
Yeah, doing great. Yeah.
Really good. Hard to
It's a cold
believe.
day in Memphis today, but one of the things we're going to want to find out maybe at the end is what are the best places to get some Tex-Mex in San Antonio. But before then, Ilya, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came to get into the medical device business? Because one of the things that struck me when we first met was, here's someone who comes from more of a software B2B SaaS world and had an experience, found a problem, and just built it. So Ilya, why don't you give us a little bit of background?
Sure. So I grew up in Ukraine. I finished my MBA on Cyprus. I started with advertising agency. Then I did a few software projects. Software project was related to sports industry. And also I'm a fighter. I used to be a professional boxer and kickboxer. I also used to live in Thailand and compete with Thai boxers. At one of the fight, I've got injury, spent 6 months in rehabilitation. And that's how I come up with a medical device solution that convert my whole life to the medical industry, medical device industry.
That's great.
That's amazing. So you had an injury. So tell us about the journey from just what led you to finding this problem and discovering this problem and then ultimately solving it?
Sure.
Specific, experience.
Sure. When my doctor told me to put 25% of my body weight to my recurring limb, I had no clue what does it mean, 25 or 50%. And also, I thought that there is a way how to do it. And the only one explanation how to manage it that I got is to buy scales, put my leg on it, try to place 50% of my body weight, remember this feeling, and walk like that. So I thought that, okay, this could be an unmet need and opportunity for the market. And I immediately organized and invest some small amount of money for marketing analysis and interviewed 73 physicians from the US, 4 from Japan, 4 from Germany, and a lot at my country. And I found that this problem exists everywhere. And nobody knows how to manage weight bearing, partial weight bearing. That's why I come up with the idea that we can create a device, bring it to the market, and then the system will take this device and integrate it to this market. But you will understand why it's not so easy. So let me tell you about the device.
Please.
Yeah.
Here is how it looks like. It is just the attachment that you can put at the bottom of any kind of crutches or cane. You just take off the rubber tip and put this tip. It's really easy to add on like that. And then it basically tells patients visually with sound or with a voice, depending what patient will choose in his mobile app, how much weight to apply to the leg. Many people will ask, okay, you're gonna measure, you have weight sensors on the crutches, like how you measure the weight that patients apply to the leg, to the limb? Pretty easy. When we know the patient's weight, let's say my weight is 200 pounds. While you step with the assistive device, no matter is it cane, crutches, or walkers, there is a moment when your healthy leg goes up from the ground, and at this moment, all the weight distributes between your injured leg and assistive device. For example, if I apply 50 pounds to my crutches, that means in total, that means that 150 pounds goes to my injured leg. So this is the way how we manage how we calculate the weight bearing that goes to the injured limb.
That's amazing. Yeah, I mean, I would tell you that weight bearing compliance has been and still is a problem. You know, to your point, people don't know what it means to be touchdown weight bearing, toe touch weight bearing, partial weight bearing, 25%, 50%. Those are just numbers. And so you have a dynamic where patients aren't sure. So they're probably putting less weight than they should, or they're just not paying attention and they're just doing what they're going to do. So they could be harming themselves either way. And the care team, the surgeons and the therapists who are taking care of them, have no idea if they're following those protocols correctly or not. So there's just a whole lot of I don't know going on around here, as my dad used to say.
And I would say from a data standpoint, sure, I'm sure there's clinical studies that have been published over the years, et cetera, but are they even, for the particular injury, are the caregivers even nailing down the exact percentage that should be weight bearing, or is that just a standard that they just throw out?
Yeah, actually, we discover a lot of clinical research regarding the weight bearing protocols, and we found that there are several names. It's 25%, 50%. It's a toe touch weight bearing, full weight bearing, and no weight bearing. This is it. And why it's 25? Why it's 50?
Exactly.
It's not because this is somehow they validate it with the clinical trials. It's because it's just easily to explain to a patient.
Hi, everybody. Mike Donahue here. As a MedTech leader, you know how important it is to hit the ground running when your new product clears FDA. You need to quickly align and equip your field sales team with training, customer targeting, sales assets, and operational resources that will maximize revenue and traction. Well, at Convey Med, we have the app for that. Convey Connect is the mobile-first launch operating system that ensures your field team is clinically confident, culturally aligned, and operationally efficient from day one. With your customized white-labeled Convey Connect app, your reps can train on the go, access agentic AI to identify ideal customer targets, query AI agents to provide intelligent answers to clinical and technical questions from your customers, communicate and engage with both company leadership as well as your teammates in the field, and then just so much more. So if you are interested in learning more about Convey Connect, go to our website, conveymed.io, where you can book a demo and we'd be happy to take you through the app. And now back to the show. So Ilya, you've also connected this and integrated this with a mobile platform, with a mobile app that the patients use. And then I presume that care teams can also have access to. Talk a little bit about that product, the work that you did to validate the user experience, and what does the app do for patients?
Correct. From the beginning, we developed the mobile app for the patient and for the doctor. So the doctor can prescribe particular weight bearing. Now also doctors can prescribe iterative walking, because we found the literature that says that it's not just important how much weight patients apply to their leg during the recovery. It's also important to understand and navigate patients how much active should be the patient. Because if the patient's walking too much at early stage of the recovery, it's going to become a problem. Swelling, a lot of pain. And if patients do not walk at all or walk really little, we all know that the bone is dynamic tissue and have to be loaded. It's also going to be bad for the time of healing. So it have to be iterative walking. For example, 500 steps and 2 hours rest. So this parameter can be easily integrated to the rehabilitation program. Of course, we can integrate the parameter of what weight bearing percentage. It's also always not the percentage of weight bearing, it's a percentage range. You physically cannot apply exactly 50% of your weight. You can apply from 30 to 60% or from 20 to 40%. We played with different range of weight bearing and figure out that the normal weight bearing range is plus minus 10%. That normal person can follow with the high compliance range. From another side, patients can see this program, can see his compliance range, and see how well he's doing, and get some notifications. We also ask patients every day put their VAS level of pain and VAS level of edema. And according to these parameters, we can decrease the weight-bearing prescriptions or increase to the target zone. And doctor with the mobile app or physical therapist with a mobile app, they can easily generate a detailed report in PDF to their email with all the weight bearing and steps activity data for the past rehabilitation period. That being said, when we came to NYU Langone Health to Chief Trauma, Dr. Kenneth, and showed this device, he said, yes, this is a great device, but I don't believe that this device will help my patients follow weight-bearing prescriptions when they're at home. Because as you know, guys, when patients at home, they not usually follow any prescriptions. And he offered me to do randomized clinical trial where we provide the device to 2 groups of patients. We randomize them. And for one group, we'll just switch off all the notifications on the device. So the device is going to be used as a tool to record weight-bearing and steps data. And then we compare these results of weight-bearing compliance for both groups. This study is under review at JAOS currently, but the results is amazing, and we are looking forward to present it to surgeons and physical therapists, because we found out that with our device, 74% of patient steps within the weight-bearing range, with the prescribed weight-bearing. And the standard of care group shows just 20%. Their steps was complied to the program prescribed. So it's 4 times difference. Huge.
That is huge. It's fascinating, really. And I think, again, if you're thinking about this from a patient's perspective, you're giving them confidence and peace of mind that they're doing the right thing. They never know, And then, so what I guess I heard you say is that the physician or the therapist, whoever is managing their care, can titrate up or down the weight-bearing level and or the prescription for how much to walk or how little to walk based on the number of steps, the frequency of steps, their pain and swelling scores?
Yes, exactly. To understand what is the proper weight bearing, I'd like to tell you a little story how I tried to penetrate the hospital for special surgery. When I present this solution to one of the physicians, he told me that he is not sure that he wants his patients to comply with current weight bearing prescription. I was surprised, but in reality, he gave me the best answer that helped me to do a huge change in our pivot, in our startup vision. Because he said, okay, you just told me that your device is the only one FDA cleared, clinically validated tool that can help patients follow weight bearing restrictions. So tell me, please, how those protocols was existing, how they build these weight bearing protocols. Maybe those protocols, if my patients will comply with them, maybe we will get worse results, correct? So that's why we turn on our prioritization to obtain clinical evidence and actually rebuild the weight bearing protocols. And what we developed is a system that takes a CT scan after surgery, and then we convert it to the finite element analysis and do a load modeling and see what load will lead to faster healing by achieving ideal micromotion at the fracture zone and relevant deformation, but not destroy the fixation and not lead to the secondary joint alignment. And if we talk about this weight-bearing prescription based on that objective measurement, and sometimes these ideal weight-bearing prescriptions could be from 50 to 70%, from or very high, or from 40 to 60% from the beginning at week 1 post-op. And usually patients will not be able to apply so much weight. So in this case, we prescribe lower weight bearing and gradually increase it with the time, with over 1 or 2 weeks. So patient can get the optimal weight bearing as soon as possible. And that's where we see the daily pain and edema level. And that's how we manage weight bearing increases according to this data.
So one of the things that I find really interesting is that, again, you can provide a prescription rehabilitation program with, to your point, intermittent periods of bearing weight and creating some controlled micromotion at the fracture site, followed by periods of rest. And those intervals over time, what have you seen in some of the patients in the case studies and the work that you've seen? Because it sounds like you are accelerating the bone healing process when you do that. Yeah. Is that what you're seeing?
Yeah, the goal is to prevent non-unions, prevent internal fixation failure, and expedite fracture healing. And of course, we are collecting clinical data with several clinical research where we are enrolling patients right now. There are some research where the improvement, everyone expect that we will show huge improvement. Like when we compare patients with immediate early weight bearing, if we compare to the patients that got restrictions 6 weeks no weight bearing or 12 weeks no weight bearing, all the doctors expect that we will show better and faster healing. But we also launched a clinical trial where we compare weight bearing as tolerated with tibia shaft fractures that are going immediate weight bearing as tolerated with our restricted weight bearing prescriptions based on injury biomechanic. Mm-hmm. And we already have 13 patients at that trial, and we have all of them heal faster than 12 weeks. I'm talking about faster healing. I mean MRAST score more than 12, and I mean 3 cortical bridges at the fracture zone. And the time to full weight bearing is usually week 6 or week 8 versus week 10 or week 11. So we have two big difference time to full weight bearing and in radiological healing at that case studies.
That is very interesting. You know, a question that comes to mind for me is with the mechanism that you're using relative to being able to monitor that, right? And to make the patient aware of it and so on through the app. What if it's a situation to where it's not a fracture scenario, but it's a ACL reconstruction that requires crutches? Is there any difference as it relates to that outcome, or is that something that you guys are going to measure later on?
You're absolutely right. Actually, for the big bones of lower limb fractures, there is one outcome that we can improve. For ankle fractures, there are completely different outcomes that we can affect. And for meniscus, for ACL reconstructions, it's separate stuff that we didn't discover yet deep, but we understand that, for example, for the meniscus, there are radial meniscus that cannot be loaded. And there are other type of meniscus that can even wean from early weight bearing. So we have some interest from sports surgeons who wants to dive deeper to biomechanic of meniscus healing. And we would love to collect cases, do this biomechanics analysis and provide it. And if surgeons decide to try it with their patients, we are happy to. So answering to your questions, yes, there is a big topics ahead, but now we want to become a super good just in tibia fractures.
Yes, makes total sense. But that's really cool. I mean, you know, and of course, what was the type of fracture that you had that initially created the idea? Was it just a tibial shaft fracture? Was it fibula and tibia? What was the deal?
Actually, I'm experienced crutch walker, so I have meniscus. I also have actually that exactly case was with arm fracture. I've got a high kick, and I blocked it right here. Oh. And this bone was broken by high kick.
Yeah.
But because I had other injuries and I conducted interviews, one of the surgeons told me that there is a bigger issue with weight bearing than the issue with rehabilitation with arm. Because initial idea was to build a solution to do flexion, extension, and rotation device.
Got it.
Yeah, I think there are so many different applications. I mean, I think even some of the newer ACL reconstruction procedures, I'm thinking NEOC has got a different rehab protocol where they're non-weight bearing for a period of time, and it's a little bit of more of a slower progression at first with maybe accelerated later. And yeah, there are other applications where this just makes a lot of sense. And then thinking through so what was the regulatory path for something like this, Ilya? I mean, you have software and you have kind of a DME. Have you worked through that?
Yes, we registered our device as a class 2 510K exempt at FDA in the end of 2021, but we didn't start commercialization because we turned to the clinical research side to understand what value can we provide to patients, to hospitals, to physicians, and to, of course, to insurance companies. Because the biggest thing, if we can prevent reoperations, or we can prevent additional visits, or we can decrease length of stay, all that stuff we can do. We can improve healing, we can decrease everything, we can improve everything. But the biggest questions, how much improvements we could achieve? And collecting these proofs became a bigger issue than the regulatory path.
Yeah.
As I told you, I was in a completely different industry. But in my niche, we were lucky to have the people who dive very deep. And my mom, she used to work with Smash, is the biggest rocket manufacturer in Ukraine. They produce rockets and satellites. And then she switched and become quality manager at our company. So she lead the assembly line and she developed the quality management systems from scratch. And for her, after rocket science, crutch science wasn't too hard.
That's awesome.
So true. Yeah, tell us a little bit about the manufacturing process. Where are you manufacturing them? And
we did it in Ukraine, and we had a really bad experience. First, we launched our first batch with contractors. And you wouldn't imagine, but our first batch was 400 pairs. They provided with 95% didn't work from the devices.
That's what I call a poor yield.
Yeah, and the next 3 iterations didn't improve really results. So then we come up with the idea, because all of our colleagues, they had their moms, and that their moms didn't have any work and was really boring during their retirement. So we rented very cozy apartment, put everything nice with nice teas, and gave them all the conditions so they can drink tea, discuss, talk some conversation, and do assembly of our device. And then they found all the mistakes in the construction and in their molding and castings that lead to the bad things, and to fix everything. So we're really glad for their support. Now
Yeah.
we have the devices without any issue.
That's great. So the secret is giving them
Tea and nice environment so they can enjoy their workflow. They can
That's-
become happy because they go to meet their friends, talk about their kids
yeah.
by drinking nice tea and screwing the device.
I think that's a great leadership lesson, right? You know, it takes a great team and a visionary founder, but it does
No
take
doubt.
both. It does take both to get to where you are, Ilya, and to be successful and to survive and advance, as they say. So where do you go from here? What's the next stage? What are your big goals for 2026?
There are 3 goals. Number 1 is to integrate our solution to a few hospitals. We have conversation now with UT Health in Texas and Will Langone in New York City. We want to pilot and prove that we can decrease length of stay after big bone fractures by mobilizing patients faster. The second goal is to obtain insurance reimbursement, because we are expecting to have this published, our clinical trial published with Journal of American Academy of Orthopedic Surgeons soon. And based on that publications and other evidence, we think we have a good chance to obtain reimbursement. And goal number 3 is to finish patients enrollment across 3 clinical trials that we are doing right now with proximal tibia, with distal tibia, and with tibia shaft. We are doing enrollment in 13 clinical sites,
Okay.
and we expect that it wouldn't take more than 1 year. But before launching each of the clinical trial, we did about 10 test patients to see that really there is a faster healing, to validate the methodology. Also, we did validation study of our methodology with lump bones. It's also going to be published soon.
Okay.
To figure out that that when our biomechanic person calculates that it's need to be loaded, like with 50 pounds, you will achieve 1 millimeter of micro movement. We have to see that it's really true.
Yeah.
We did that before we launch our clinical trials.
Well, that's amazing, Ilya. I'm really excited. I just want to commend you for doing the hard work of getting the data.
Yeah.
A lot of in our experience, particularly with 510K products, that's a step that many skip, and it's a mistake.
It's a huge mistake.
And to your credit, as a newbie to medical device, you're doing this the right way. And so
Yeah.
congratulations on that. And we're big fans of what you're building, Ilya, and happy to have you on the MedTech Jam session. Anything else before we wrap up?
No, Chris, Mike, thank you. Because of your support, the random person not from the industry have a chance to really deliver something really beneficial to the market.
Yes.
Thank you I want to thank all the doctors, all the surgeons who trusted me, who understand how busy surgeons now, and I understand that a lot of surgeons, they deal with patients who not the best persons, who drink a lot of alcohol, use drugs. Those are the patients from trauma, most of them. Like a lot of patients from goes to the sports injury, but doctors from trauma injury, they don't really interested in innovations. And I want to thank those doctors who really spend their time trying something new and trying to improve their outcomes of their patients.
Absolutely. Are you going to be at any of the upcoming spring ortho meetings, or what's your plans?
Yes, we're going to present more case study and more data at American Academy of Orthopedic Surgeons meetings in Louisiana.
Yep.
We have a booth there. It's booth number 1000, very easy to remember. And also, I will present the results together with Dr. Kenneth and with Professor Glad at Innovation Theater. At that time.
Oh,
That's
okay.
a big deal.
That's a big deal. That's good.
That's a big deal. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
All right, great. Ilya, thanks so much. And thanks for another amazing episode of the MedTech Jam Session.
Have a great
Check us out.
day.
You bet, Ilya. Check us out wherever you get your podcasts. Like, subscribe, and Chris and I will see you on the other side.